Today we're pitting the Meta Quest 3 against the Pimax Crystal Light to find out which one is better for PCVR. I'll score them through a series of categories and ultimately determine a winner. Let's get to it. Starting off with the screens, the Quest 3 comes with LCD panels, while the Crystal Light has QLED and Mini LED panels with local dimming. So in this category, the Crystal Light is the clear winner, offering punchier colors and considerably better black and contrast levels. Next, let's talk about the resolution and overall visual quality. The Crystal Light offers 2880 by 2880 pixels per eye, while the Quest 3 has a lower 2064 by 2208 resolution per eye. One important aspect here besides the actual resolution is how the visuals actually look in the headset, and this has to do with their way of connecting to your PC. The Crystal Light has a direct DisplayPort connection for full quality uncompressed PCVR. The Quest 3 by contrast uses either Wi-Fi or a link cable to connect, which requires the signal to be compressed, and this introduces latency and visual artifacts, effectively making the image less sharp. So the point here goes to the Crystal Light again, but keep watching cause it's gonna become a pretty tight race by the end. The screens and resolution are a big deal, but the lenses are arguably even more important, and these both use very different technology when it comes to the optics. While the Crystal Light uses cutting-edge glass aspheric lenses which offer very good edge-to-edge clarity and a massive sweet spot, it's pretty much agreed by the entire industry that the lenses on the Quest 3 are the best in the game. The sweet spot here is basically the entire lens from edge to edge, and I have to agree with everyone else that they are absolutely top-notch, so the point here goes to the Quest 3. Now, not everyone will care or even know what binocular overlap is, but I wanted to include this category for the ones who do. As a very quick explanation for those who don't, it's the area of intersection between both eyes, aka the overlap between the lenses, which can cause strain and almost give you a bit of a cross-eyed feeling in VR if it's too low. The Quest 3 has a 69% overlap.
Nice.
Which is on the lower spectrum of what's acceptable. I personally don't get any eye strain with it, but I'm not really sensitive to that, so take my experience with a grain of salt. The Crystal Light, on the other hand, has about an 83% overlap. This is not incredible by any means, but it is considerably better than the Quest 3, so the point here goes to the Crystal Light. Next up, we need to talk about tracking, and this includes both headset and controller tracking. Now, both companies have their own in-house SLAM tracking algorithms, and both have good tracking that hasn't really given me any issues in the past year or so. That being said, Meta does deal with occlusion better, meaning when the controllers are out of the camera's sight, so overall I would give a slight edge to the Quest 3. But it's not that simple because the Crystal Light also offers an optional lighthouse track faceplate, and base station tracking is regarded as being the most accurate possible way to track in VR. Thus, we have to call this a draw to keep things fair, so they each get 1 point. Moving on to field of view, this will be slightly different depending on your IPD, so I'll first share the official numbers, then talk about my own experience. The Crystal Light has a 115 degree horizontal by 105 degrees vertical field of view compared to a 110 by 96 of the Quest 3. And in my experience, the difference on paper checks out with the field of view of the Crystal Light definitely feeling bigger. They are both more than decent, but the point here has to go to the Pimax. When it comes to refresh rate, they both offer up to 120Hz and both feel buttery smooth when handling fast-paced motion, so they each get 1 point in this category. Now it's time for a crucial one, comfort. And I realize this is somewhat subjective and everyone might prefer something different. An important aspect here is weight, and the Quest 3 is the clear winner, being smaller and lighter. That being said, comfort out of the box tells a very different story because the Crystal Light has a hard strap that is miles more comfortable than the soft strap the Quest comes with. Obviously, both headsets can be upgraded using third-party accessories like better head straps for the Quest and more comfortable cushions and an additional top strap for the Crystal Light. But out of the box, the Crystal Light gets the point here. Sometimes you still need to see your surroundings while in VR, so let's talk about pass-through. Now, neither of the two are at Apple Vision Pro levels, but the Quest 3 is without a doubt the clear winner here, offering color pass-through with a depth sensor as opposed to just a black and white version of the Crystal Light, which is very similar to what you'd get on a Quest 2. The next category is software, because regardless of how good the hardware might be, without reliable software that offers easy setup and good features, these are nothing more than paperweights. The Crystal Light is controlled using the Pimax Play app, which has been constantly getting updated with new features, added stability, and overall polish. The Quest 3 has a few options, with the base one being the MetaQuest Link app. This is pretty basic but does its job for the most part, though it is still being reported as being buggy by many users. I personally use a third-party app for PCVR on Quest called Virtual Desktop, which improves things dramatically and offers wireless PCVR capabilities. But to keep things fair and judge based on the headset's official software, I'd call this a draw, so let's give each one a point. In terms of performance, the Crystal Light is higher resolution, so will require a bit more horsepower from your PC to run at full native scale. But as mentioned before, it will also look considerably better as well. The Quest 3, on the other hand, is technically slightly easier to run but doesn't have a native DisplayPort connection, meaning there needs to be some encoding and decoding of the signal to make PCVR possible, which in itself requires processing power. So overall, despite the higher resolution of the Crystal, I would consider the performance category as being a draw. We're almost there, guys, so let's move on to battery life. This is gonna be a quick one because thankfully Pimax have removed the need for a battery in the Crystal Light, so you can use it non-stop without worrying about it dying on you. Which is why it gets the point here, no doubt, but to give you the full complete picture, the Quest 3 will last for about 2 hours for wireless PCVR use. And even when using a link cable, will still slowly discharge at varying speeds depending on your PC's USB power delivery capabilities. You can of course get a link cable that also plugs into the wall for extra power, but that not only means an extra cost, but other potential headaches if it's not made by a good, reliable brand. Now finally, before the roundup and conclusion, let's discuss sound, and I'll cover both input and output in this section, including a microphone test very shortly so you can hear the difference yourself. With the standard integrated audio that comes with both, I consider this a draw. The Pimax has slightly better bass and isolation, while the Quest 3 is a bit better when it comes to directionality and games. Now the Crystal Light also has the optional DMAS headphones as an extra cost, which are in a different league compared to the integrated audio on the Quest 3 and sound incredible. But again, to keep things fair, we're judging what you get in the base package, so they each get 1 point. Moving on to the microphones, to my ear the winner here is clear, but have a listen to these microphone tests first. This is a microphone test using the built-in microphone on the Pimax Crystal Light. I'll let you decide how it sounds. Now let's move on to the test on the Quest 3. And this is a test using the built-in microphone on the Meta Quest 3. Test 1, 2, 3. What do you think? How does it sound? As you could probably hear yourself, the Quest 3 sounds fuller and clearer, so it deserves the point here. That being said, I just wish they had positioned the mic in a different place because plosives are much more pronounced here as well, but overall it is still the better microphone. Okay, time to tally up everything. Pimax Crystal Light got 11 points across all categories, while the Meta Quest 3 is at 7 points. But does that mean you should definitely go and buy a Crystal Light for your PCVR needs? Well, it's not that easy, and let me explain. The overall package offered by Pimax is a fantastic choice if your main use case are sim racing or flight sims. It's comfortable, looks and performs great, and if you want the best bang for your bucks in terms of visuals, it's my go-to recommendation. On the other hand, even if you never plan to use the standalone functionality of the Quest 3, the option of going fully wireless for PCVR lends itself much better to more active games involving a higher degree of movement, as well as for social apps like VR chat due to the better quality of the microphone. Just be aware that you will absolutely need to spend extra on a better head strap, purchasing virtual desktop, and ideally a dedicated Wi-Fi router for the best performance. With the Quest 3, you're essentially giving up part of the visual experience for the freedom of movement of its wireless capabilities. Which do you think is the better headset? Leave your thoughts in the comments or even just an emoji to help out with engagement. I hope you found this useful, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys!